When America Was Rocked, September 9th, 1956. The Ed Sullivan Show was one of the most popular, influential shows of the middle to late 20th century. This show, among others, was focused on preserving and presenting the ideals of American culture at the time. He acted as a gatekeeper, deciding what was socially acceptable. He was determined to safeguard American morals during a time of extraordinary change. The 1950s was a time of great prosperity, pressure to conform, preaching of American morals, and protection of the American way of life through church membership. While television and influential figures tried to broadcast the idea that America was perfect and everything was fine, racial tensions and segregation continued to increase in the South. Conflicts arose from segregation due to race and social classes, and they were becoming more evident with events such as the murder of Emmett Till. One of the most apparent forms of social segregation could be seen through music. Educated whites listen to classical music, rural whites listen to country and western, middle-class whites to pop, and African Americans listen to jazz music or rhythm and blues. It was not socially acceptable for a white person to go to a record store and purchase black music. This all changed the year that Elvis Aaron Presley walked into Sun Records in the summer of 1953. He was a 19-year-old truck driver who was a Southern religious white boy who was known to be able to sing black. Elvis rose to the top with his unique sound and his controversial dancing. There was no one else who could sing like him, and there was no other white performer who did dances common to jazz clubs in front of audiences. He was viewed as a disgrace because of his dancing, and many feared his influence would blemish the perfect, moral, conformist America they had lived in and agreed with. At the peak of his fame, he was invited to go on to the Ed Sullivan Show, September 9th, 1956. Even though Elvis was looked down upon, Sullivan couldn't help but soak up the ratings having him on the show would bring. After the initial appearance, Elvis's lower half was cut from the home audience's view because of his obscene dancing. Elvis was growing in popularity, partly due to the fact that he had begun to blur racial lines through his music. It was now acceptable for white children to listen to black music because Elvis was singing and he was white. Up until now, it had been drilled into kids' heads to like everything their parents did, wear the same clothes, and listen to the same music. Elvis changed this. Elvis caused the Beat generation to move towards nonconformism and decide for themselves what is and isn't acceptable. He promoted equality and, in turn, democracy. Because the Beat generation had a new way of thinking, they began to ask questions about their government and politics. They decided to take a bigger part in the two things. Elvis's obscene dancing also started the sexual revolution. He caused loosened morals and changed what was socially acceptable. With that, he influenced and encouraged women's rights, and with the sexual revolution, birth control emerged. Elvis died in 1977 at the age of 42 from heart problems more than likely caused by stress and drug abuse. Thousands of people attended his funeral. His relevance can still be seen today as fans still flock to his grave and his house in Memphis to honor the king of rock and roll. In the words of famous musician John Lennon, before Elvis, there was nothing.